All right, y'all. We'll get started. I'm sure people will trickle in, but we could produce here. This is a perfect size group, I think. Um, Obviously, welcome. This is a very special class for me. As I mentioned over the past couple of weeks, talking about Tislam coming through, that I mean, not only is this my brother, family member, just a dude who inspires me tremendously, but he's a dude who I'm checking in with. Tislam, what do you think about this? He's the dude that I'm asking questions. So I want to just cut myself out and let y'all ask him questions directly. I feel like I should give a little bit of a spiel. Undergrad at Howard University, DMA candidate at Indiana University, one of the top music schools in the country, member of the Metropolitan Opera, probably one of the most powerful dynamic educators I know and have had the privilege to teach with. So it means a lot that these worlds collide in this way, and it means a lot to me that you're here. Welcome, Tislam Swift. When we talked about guest lectures, and it came up that folks maybe wanted to just get some pointers on singing, I was just like, you probably even remember that moment where like what my face did. Like I was like, I know this guy. So I want to just hand it over to Tislam and just let me know how I could support you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much, a professor, as I feel affectionately call you. Thank you for that introduction. It's an honor, y'all, to be here in this space. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna be honest and be authentic about what it means to be a vocalist and what it means to explore your voice. I'll tell y'all a little bit about me, but this is also about you all, right? So I want to get to know you all, and you can tell me a little bit about yourself. So I'll start quickly. Tell me a little bit about myself. So I'm a Brooklyn native. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Bed-Stuy. I went to LaGuardia High School in the city, Lincoln Center. I studied music at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. Took a year off, sang a little bit, worked. I taught for this program called the Atlanta Music Project, singing the Atlanta Opera Chorus in Atlanta. And then decided I wanted to study music a little bit more. So I decided to go to school in Indiana. Many people ask me why I went to Indiana of all places after leaving New York from Atlanta to go to the Midwest. The answer is because I wanted to educate myself more in a little bit about what it means to be a singer. So I went to Indiana with the intention of staying there for 2 years to do a master's degree, and I ended up staying for a total of 8 years for a master's degree in what they would call a performance diploma. And then I ended up staying for a doctoral degree, which I'm still currently finishing. And when I finished the coursework, I decided to move back home to New York City because I loved it. I thought it was the best place to pursue my dream of becoming a singer, an educator, an arts administrator, any kind of creative things that I wanted to do. I felt like this was the best place. So I've been back in New York for about 1.5 years now, where I'm currently teaching at the Calhoun School, which is an independent school in the Upper West Side, which is where I met this gentleman. So I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm an uncle, educator, chef, dancer, scholar. And I purposely wanted to mention those things because those are all the identities that I wear that kind of make me who I am as an artist. Those are the stories that I'm compelled to tell based on those experiences and based on those identities. So I want to know a little bit about you all and you guys. So you can tell me your name and how do you use your voice. Are you a singer? If you are a singer, how long have you been singing? If you're not a singer, you don't consider yourself a singer, what do you do musically? What inspired you to use your voice? If you just speak, you are a vocalist. You're a vocalist. Just use your voice. So tell me a little bit about that. And maybe something a little bit interesting about yourself. And I'll start. So my name is Tislam, like I said. I've been singing all my life pretty much. I come from a family of jazz musicians. My grandmother was a jazz musician. They're from the Caribbean. My family's from St. Croix in Cuba. And they moved here to Spanish Harlem and got engaged in the salsa scene, in the jazz scene. And so that kind of inspired me. My grandmother used to always say, dude, like, one of my favorite singers, right? So I always like to say I knew Mahalia Jackson, who's this very famous gospel artist. I knew Mahalia Jackson before I knew Mozart, right? So I grew up listening to gospel, jazz, R&B. And one of my favorite singers to always sing along to, he was my first voice teacher, and I jokingly say that, but I'm very serious, was Usher, right? So I'd listen to these songs. I was 8 years old, and that was at the time where like Nice and Slow came out. And I would try to practice his riffs and his runs and listen to something, and I'd go, oh, I want to do that same thing with my voice. And my grandmother would hear, and she'd say, yo, if you really love to sing, you should perhaps go during a chorus. And so in 3rd grade, I went from, hearing Usher songs and singing that and repeating what I heard to going to explore singing and exploring my voice in my own way, right? So that's kind of how it happened for me. And I'll go around the room. Let's start with you at the top.
My name's Julian. I'm a music producer, and I use my voice to harmonize my melody.
Love that. Julian,
Yeah,
nice
Julian.
to meet you. Hello.
Hi, I'm Isis. I don't know how to sing,
Mhm.
but I would like to.
I love that.
Music production.
Nice to meet you, Isis. Thanks for sharing.
Sam. I don't really sing that much for myself. The only time I really do is if I was like making a demo or something, and I had a vocalist, and I had an idea for like the vocal melody. I would just kind of hum it out. Or
Love that. Love that. You are a vocalist, by the way. Nice to meet you, Sam.
I'm Ken. I started as like a music producer, but I'm like trying to explore like being an artist as well.
Love that.
So yeah.
Can you repeat your name one more time? I'm Cam. Cam. Nice
Yeah,
to meet you,
Cam.
Cam. Also, if I ask your name again, please don't be offended. I'm learning names. I've got a bunch of like 100 students, like K through 12 kids who I'm still learning names. So if I ask you your name, it's not that I don't like you. I just want to make sure I have your name right.
I'm Aiden. I'm a music producer, engineer, and I actually only recently got into learning how to sing, and I really want to learn how to sing to write my own songs and to hopefully be able to come or to write musical ideas more effectively.
Thanks for sharing. Nice to meet you.
My name's Anthony. I am a music producer, engineer, a songwriter, trying to become a singer, working on it, composer, you name it, I do it, or at least try to.
Love that.
I'm mostly a producer. I play piano, drums, and I just started learning to play guitar. And how do I use my voice? I use my voice in different situations when I am working with music, whether it's mumbling words or mumbling melodies, bass. We're working on bass, finding chords and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's basically how I use my voice.
Thank you. Thank you all
Sure.
for sharing, right? I just wanted to gauge who was in the room. Quick question for you. What if I told you all that you have been vocalists and singers for your whole lives?
I believe you
Tell me about that. Why do you believe me?
because we talk every day, and talking
Ooh.
and singing.
Yes, right? So I like to talk of singing. I always tell this to my private voice students. I teach private voice students. I teach chorus. I teach like music theater workshops. And one of the first things I always tell them when we're starting singing, right? And many times it's singers from various levels. I teach folks from beginning levels to folks who already know that they want to be on Broadway, to people who are like, I want to be an opera singer. These various levels. But the thing that I say that is constant is that singing is nothing but extended speaking. Right? I'm going to repeat it again. Singing is extended speaking. Can anybody tell me why they think that or why I might say that? You were close. Think about it. So, how do you sing? What do you use? In a literal sense, what do we do? What do we use? Your voice, right? You're using your mouth, right? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's because when you talk, normally when you use your voice, you're exercising a part of your body to communicate. But when you sing or when you vocalize, you using it in a more intentional way.
Absolutely.
Using it in or more intentional.
You're absolutely correct. And let me take it a bit further, right? So before you even spoke, before you even phonated, what did you do before you even made sound?
I thought about what I was doing.
You thought about what you correct, right? So singing starts here. Also, I tell people singing is 90% mental, 10% the physicality of the actual part, right? But even after you thought it, what happened? Walk me through that, the process. Even more intent. After you thought your thought.
I'm not sure.
I
I
said,
don't know. Breathing?
say again?
Breathing.
Ooh, right on the money, right? So it starts from breathing, yeah? So if I say, I love you, I'm speaking it. I thought the thought first. I took a breath, and then I said it. If I were to sing it, same process happens. Yes, I'm thinking the thought. I love you. Same thing, right? So we've been singing really our whole lives. It's just a matter of, okay, I've taken a breath to speak, to phonate, to make a sound. But in singing, I need to maybe manage the breath a little bit differently. Yes? So we're going to be talking a little bit about what that means, how to do that, how to manage breath, how to have the, I don't want to say appropriate posture, but the best posture to make the best kind of sound. Love the way y'all think. Vocalists are athletes, right? These are some of my favorite folks. Love LeBron, love Usain Bolt. Vocalists are athletes. Why I say that is because singing is a lot more physical than what people let up, right? Our bodies, our whole entire bodies, y'all are on the money with it, with the breath, the thinking process, the thought process. These are things that are really part of the singing process that often gets left out when we're talking about singing. Yes? Anybody an athlete in here? Anybody like to go to the gym? So you are, listen, you are an athlete. If you had that thought, you're an athlete. So what do you do before you, let's say, go to a practice or before a game? Warm up, yes?
Stretch.
Warm up, stretch, yes?
I was gonna say one more.
Warm up, right? So, as singers, as vocalists, you also have the same kind of like training process, right? So, again, our whole bodies are more involved in what we know when it comes to singing, right? Oftentimes I tell folks, when we're talking about breathing, let's not talk about our focus just on the throat or the throttle breath. So, when we're talking, most times, it's kind of just like, because we've been doing it our whole lives, it's like second nature to go. And it's right here, right? You'll see it, you'll feel it, you'll see the tension, and you'll feel it, and you'll go. Actually, as a matter of fact, can everybody go to their 2 fingers and feel, just take a breath? Right? You feel that kind of tension. Tension is okay in singing, but I like to say excessive tension is when we get a little rocky, right? We're going to be doing some breathing exercises, but it should be more of a, from your toes up, right? Feeling the breath. Now, you can actually physically go, I can feel the breath from my toes, but it really starts that way. And we're going to be doing a little bit of what that feels like and how to determine if I've gotten a good enough breath, right? Whether you're a rapper, whether you're a singer, whether you're a public speaker, and you want to make sure you don't get hoarse speaking all the time. I was just telling Professor recently today that I had to tell my 8th grade students, I'm so tired of having to repeat myself again and again and again and again because I'm having to use my voice, right? And it got to the point where I wasn't breathing and supporting that breath or supporting the voice enough, and I was using my throat, and I got like tired. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that, and I hope y'all will indulge me in doing some warm-ups and some physical things. Are we down for that?
For sure.
I love that. Love it. All right. So, like I said, your entire body is an instrument. And we're going to be exploring the voice in these kind of 4 facets. Breathing, posture and alignment, phonation, and then my favorite part, all these things are important. But what good is it being a vocalist if you're not communicating something or storytelling something, right? And so that includes things like enunciation, diction, maybe dynamics, right? So if I were to say somebody in a record, and I would never say this to somebody in a record because I'm a loving person, but if I said, I hate you, right? That tells the message, that sends the message. And I said it with so much clarity and intention versus, I hate you. I mean, that could also be a feeling and an emotion, right? That could also be something very communicative, right? But I was very intentional in the first way to say that a louder dynamic, right? So we're going to be exploring that. This video here is what your vocal folds look like from a scope. This usually happens with an ENT doctor, ear, nose, and throat doctor. And what happens is singers, speech pathologists, folks who use their voice as a professional will often go to get scoped to check their vocal folds. So I just want to show y'all what vocal folds look like and how connected they are to the rest of our body. Vocal folds, most folks say like vocal cords. They're not actually cords. They're about like thin tissues of like muscle that are about the size of a quarter. And imagine like 2 pieces of paper, 2 like sheets of loose leaf paper. And if you blow through them, they'd probably do what? They probably move, they probably vibrate, according to how much air you had through them, right? So if I'm lightly blowing, it'll probably be a gentle kind of vibration. But if that wind is going, you'll get like a faster vibration. So you'll see a little bit of that and like in this video. The higher you get, right, and so if you notice like on the edge of the vocal fold, you see these like little white specks. That's mucus, right? So like mucus is perfectly okay for healthy vocal folds because it actually keeps your vocal folds lubricated and moist and ready to work. If you see, for future reference, if you ever look at anything like this on YouTube, if you see somebody who's gotten scoped and it's excessive, that means probably they are sick or they've eaten something that produces a lot of mucus. Things like dairy, things of that nature, right? All right, so breathing for vocalists. So, like I said earlier, you want to breathe for your whole body. We're going to do a little bit of this. So in a moment, I'll ask you all to stand up, and I want you to find a space where you feel like you're comfortable to move. And not just your voice, right? Oftentimes as vocalists, we breathe and we go, just like I was just explaining a moment ago, but you want to make sure that you're getting a whole breath for your body, and I'll explain what that means in a bit. And thinking quieter, more silent breaths. Many of you are producers and work in studios, right? So let's say you're in a studio session and you've got a vocalist about to like lay the dopest like verse ever, and you're like, I want it to be mellow, I want it to be calm, but then they go on the track and they go, right? So like now you got to cut that out. Now that's time. Now that's money. Now that's an effort that you got to add extra work to do to cut out this part where this person is like breathe, right? So I like to say breathing a silent breath, a quieter breath, and not only in the sense that it works well for recording, but it also works well for like supporting your body and supporting your breath. So let's all stand up really quickly. Find a space. All right. So can I have a volunteer? Anthony's on it already. All right, Anthony. I am going to stand in a stance where I feel like I'm most supported for my breath that I'm about to take. I want you to push me. With force, please. Yes.
Force?
With force. Now, tread lightly, but also push me with force. Go ahead. Right? So, already, my body is not supported. I'm not connected to the ground, right? Isis. Thank you, Anthony. You also come push me. I'm going to put my legs like so, like that. Opposite. Push me with force, please, y'all. Right. Thank you. Right? I appreciate it. Remind me your name one more time, sir.
Julian.
Julian, come on. So, feet about shoulder width apart. I'm really checking my balance. I'm also hyperextended, right? So my knees go back. So I like to check my knees. So give me a push with force. With force, but I was still able to catch my balance, right? One more time, go. Right? So thank you. Thank y'all. So I like to say typically when you're thinking about singing and getting the best breath for your voice, feet should be about shoulder width apart. So everybody check. Now that's different for everybody, right? So check that. See if you can feel the floor, feel like what that feels like. And I want everybody to do me a favor. Just drop. Drop. And imagine all the weight of your body in the tips of your fingertips and slowly rise up. Slowly. There's no rush. There is no rush. Right? Shoulders kind of back a little bit. You don't want to be like this, but check that out, right? So this is what I say like the best posture is to get the most efficient breath. Whether you're a singer, whether you're a public speaker, whether you're a teacher, whether you are a lawyer, and these are, by the way, professions that use their voice quite often. Fun fact, 1/5 of the country's working population actually are professional vocalists, right? That includes teachers, that includes lawyers, secretaries, actors, phone operators, right? So many people can benefit from this more than just singers, right? So you all are vocalists. Congratulations. I love this. A room full of vocalists. All right, so take an inhale and then release. Take another inhale and release. All right, so many people are just doing this, like so. But if you're about to say something, would you keep your mouth closed? No, right? So try and see if you can take a breath with your mouth open. And I want everybody to be mindful of something as we're doing it. Watch your shoulders, because what happens is, watch this. Where's the tension? Here and also here, right? So like all of these muscles and things that are connected to my vocal folds are also connected to my body, right? So as you're taking a breath, you're going to be mindful to not make it any kind of like excessive tension. Some tension is great in using your voice, but excessive tension can be a little bit like taxing on the voice. So let's take a breath and be mindful of our shoulders and open your mouths. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Nice. And then release. Remember, this is a silent breath. One more time. Inhale again. And then release. Nice. How do we feel? Anybody feel like they're really connected to their breath and body? Nice. So I'm going to add another layer to this. There's layers to this, right? So I'm going to give you 4 counts. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is another exercise that I like to do before I sing or speak anything. I do this often. If I'm having a little anxiety in the day, I like to do this also not only for my voice, but for my body and my person. So I'll give you 4 counts to kind of check your posture. So it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the first 4. You're checking to see if you're good, checking to see how connected you are to the floor. The second 4 count will be a 4 count to get a nice, deep, low breath, right? So I want everybody to think, as a matter of fact, take your thumbs and see if you can feel. How many people have ever heard somebody say, sing from your diaphragm or speak from your diaphragm? I know that's the age-old tale. I'm here to tell you that is a lie. It's a lie. Why is it a lie? The diaphragm is an involuntary muscle, yes? So what happens is when you take your breath, the lungs go, I need somewhere to go because I'm about to expand, and it actually pushes the diaphragm out of the way. So it actually has nothing to do when they say sing from your diaphragm, what they're actually telling you is sing from your lungs. The lungs, as we know, is the main organ for breath, right? So I want you to see if you can feel that kind of like diaphragm movement in your ab area at your belly button, actually. So the next 4 count will be to get that deep, low breath, to see if you can get a low breath, yeah? So the next 4, you just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and as you're doing that, you're taking a nice low breath, yes? The third 4, excuse me, you're going to hold your breath, yes? And then the last 4, you're going to release it on a hiss, or shh, whichever one is like easier for you, yes? The goal of this is breath management, right? So if I were Whitney Houston, who's my second favorite singer of all time, and I was singing, "We'll always love you," I need to manage that breath and know how much breath I need to make to get to the end of the phrase. Otherwise, I'm not going to make it, right? And I'm not going to make the hit that I made, right? Even though that's a Dolly Parton song that she covered. I just found that out recently. But I want to try and see if we can see. Today, we'll try and make it to 4, and then we'll go up the increments of 4. So 4, 8, 12. Yeah? We'll try 1 just for practice at 4. Yes? So here's the first 4 to check your posture. Making sure you're connected to the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next 4, inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Next 4, hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4. Nice. Y'all sound like vocalists. I love that. So, only thing that I want to change or make an adjustment to is that nobody opened their mouths to get the nice deep breath that they could get, right? So it's almost like a yawn, like, "Oh, my name is Tislam," right? So I'm taking that neat, nice, deep, low, quiet breath, right? Nice. So we'll make it, let's see if we can get to 8 together. Yes? The goal of this also is to imagine that as you're inhaling, anytime you think you're about to run out, think, because singing is 90% like mental, thinking, don't run out, don't run out. My rib cage wants to like expand, right? Your lungs will take the breath. Your lungs go woo out of the way, and they want to stay expanded. So I want you to think and see if you can think to stay open and expanded. Yes? Nice job, friends. Here we go. First 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, open mouths. 2, nice. 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, don't give up. 3, don't give up. 4, don't give up. 5, don't give up. 6, don't give up. 7, don't give up. 8. Can anybody tell me what that felt like for them? Sit really quickly. We're going to do another round. But tell me what that felt like for you. Could you feel any difference in your breath? Did you feel like you were running out? And when you felt like you were running out, what happened? What did you do? Can anybody share?
I think I kind of like let the air out a little bit slower.
Yes. I love that. But what I want to say to you, right? That's the first answer that I often get from like vocalists who are like, I want to let the air out a little bit slow. Like I want to be a little bit selfish, a little bit stingy. If you were singing, you would not let that air, you wouldn't be selfish, right? You wouldn't be like, I'm not under sing because I know I need to make it to the phrase. You'd sing out or you'd speak out, right? So I want to say to you, let that flow, let it go, let it flow, yes? And we'll try it again a second time. Yes. What did you feel?
I was gonna say there's a lot of tension around my middle area.
Right? So like I said, like it's an engagement of our whole body, right? So oftentimes I'll even check my back and I'll go right here because really you're taking a whole breath around like your whole body. And sometimes I'll feel here, and even when you put your thumbs back, you can feel the expansion. You can feel your thumbs kind of like turn out a little bit. So let's do one more round. Let's go to 16. And I want to say something else. As vocalists, we do and we act. I usually say we sing, but everybody's not a singer, so I'll say, well, we perform on sensation, right? I'm going to say it again. We perform and we do these things on sensation. So I want you to become familiar as you're doing these. And if you want to take these home and try these out on your own selves, please, please, please. I beg if you please do, because they're amazing and I love to do them for myself. See what your body feels like. Say, okay, I remember maybe I'm like not well, or maybe I have a little bit of a cold. But as a vocalist, I remember the sensation it felt like to get a nice deep low breath. And so now that I know I can actually make the phrase because I remember the sensation it felt like when I took that breath. Yeah, so let's do it a 4 count. We'll try to make it to 16, right? And my rule of thumb, let's say like today, Julian, you make it to 16. Tomorrow you can only make it to 12. It's not the end of the day. It's not the end of the world. Why? Because your body is your instrument, right? So like maybe you didn't get enough sleep and your body's reacting to that, right? Or maybe you're anxious about something. Your body's just reacting to that. So every day is different. So I don't want you to go and do this and go, man, I sure could do 16. I could make it to 16 today, but yet tomorrow I could only make it to 12. Our bodies are very different. Your body reacts to whatever it is that's going on. You're probably tired. Maybe you're not tired. Maybe you're well rested. And it's just a different day. Yeah? Here we go. First 4 count. Check your posture. 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. And release. Don't be selfish. Let it out. 3, 4. Yes. 5. Big expanded. 6, 7, 8. Nice. 9. Keep it pushing. 10, 11, 12. Oh, 13, 14, 15. Keep going. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Right? I know I tricked you, right? So I said thank you. So I said 16, but many people were able to go past today. Yeah. So what did that feel like for you? When you felt like you were running out? Because I saw some motions and some movements and some almost collapsing. But what did that feel like for you? It's okay.
It wasn't so much collapsing for me. It was more like I knew I was running out of breath, but at the same time I knew that I could go longer. So I would say like it's. I'm looking forward to like the right way to saying. It was like
There's no right way. Say it your way.
Right,
Say it in your way.
Right. Like I'm not gonna say it wasn't uncomfortable because it was like it was an exercise, so it was like it was training. I felt like I was training my air because I have good air, but like doing that exercise and holding it and then releasing it for that long, it kind of.
You were correct in saying
Yeah.
that you're training your ear, right? This is a reassessment of something that we've always done naturally as humans, right? You come out of your mom's womb, you're ready to breathe, you're ready to go.
Right.
All is well, you're ready to go, right? So you've already been like kind of just doing this. Inhale, exhale, the process of inhalation, process of exhalation, right? The new layer of this element is just breath management. You're training your body, you're training your muscle to do this new thing to be able to manage perhaps the longevity of a phrase, right? Or perhaps to support your voice, right? So if I say, literally I said to an 8th grader this morning at announcements, she read the announcements and she goes, today is day 5, blah, 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 blah. I said, you are not supporting your voice. And she was one of my core students and she reassessed it and went, today is day 5. So yes, the volume changed, but more importantly, her voice was supported by the breath. Yes? It's like, I always ask this question and I hope the answer is yes. Y'all ever wash your hands in the bathroom?
Yes.
Thank you. I was hoping the answer was yes.
Yes.
You wash your hands in the bathroom and you put, you have the stream of running water, right? It's this even, consistent, like stream of water. You put your hand in and it stops the flow, right? The water is like your voice. The hand is like the breath. It's holding the water and it's keeping it supported. I'll give another analogy. How many people ever watch, bless you.
Thank you.
I don't gamble, but like the lotto, and it has like that moving ball. It's like, oh, today's numbers are 5, 25, and the balls are moving. It's the air that's keeping those balls like supported, right? So that's like what your breath is doing for your voice. It's keeping supported, and if you don't breathe, the voice has nothing to it's not supported in that way. Oh, right. So posture for vocalists, connection to the floor, like we just talked about, connection to the floor beneath you. Stretching, releasing excessive tension in your body. So the thing about being a vocalist, which we all are in this space and in this room. Hey, how are you?
Hi.
What's your name?
Bryce.
Bryce, nice to meet you.
Nice to
Tislam.
meet
Tension is good at singing. Tension is good in using your voice, but excessive tension can be a little bit problematic for your voice. And I want to make sure that we understand what this means, right? So we have cervical, thoracic, lumbar, pelvic, right? So let's stand up really quickly again. And I really want everybody to, for real, like when we did it the first time, I was just introducing it. But really see if you can get all the way to your body into your fingertips, right? Again, making sure your feet are kind of shoulder width apart so that you're supporting yourself. And slowly rise up. And I want you to imagine that you're stacking each vertebrae one on top of the other. Enjoy this stretch. It feels great when you get a certain age. Enjoy the stretch, yes? So vertebrae stacking one on top of the other. All right? And I want you to check something out. Look at your shoulders. See where your shoulders naturally go. That is about the posture that is best for best use for your voice, right? When we wake up, research shows, you can sit, thank you. Research shows or states that, like, when you wake up, you're at your tallest because your body is laid down and you're laid down and you're realigned, right? But many of us take the subway, many of us commute to school and campus and things like that, and we kind of slouch, and we kind of sit in the chair and we just do this, right? So everything else that's involved in our bodies, again, our instrument, is also affected by that. By the time I get up to sing anything, I'm like, wow, like, I've got to realign myself, right? So you want to make sure that whatever it is that you're doing, even if you're sitting, and I tell this to some of my chorus students too, I don't care if you sit, posture, yes? Now, you don't need to be like this. We're not in the military, we're not in the army, right? But thinking, all right, if I want to get the best kind of expansion possible in my lungs, if I want my rib cage to have all the freest motion in possible, I want to be like sitting like so, right? So, kind of like this, if I'm standing like this. And now as a performer, if you are a performer, I don't at all expect you to just go, I'm going to sit like this the whole time, right? Because I want to make sure my posture is correct. But if I'm landing a spot, boom, I'm here. My posture's still up, but I'm still engaging with my audience. So I'm engaging and communicating, right? So thinking about your posture and releasing excessive tension. I also do this other thing in terms of stretching, where I like to roll my neck around. Whenever I do that, it's like a really good massage in your vocal folds. And then the other way, and when you're ready to take their, let's say, fingers, next fingers, whatever you use, and feel right above your, right beneath your earlobes, like here, and just try and see if you can release that, and you like that, and do some circular motions. All right, this is another one that I like to do because oftentimes, again, we speak, we do things loosely, kind of without like knowledge or kind of like without any direction of understanding. You can stop. I know y'all looking like, why is he making us do this? All right, but this is a fun way to kind of get tensions out of your jaw, right? If you're using your voice for whatever you're using it for, making sure you kind of have like free range to move it in whichever way that you need to do. Phonation. We're gonna be y'all came ready to sing today or use your voices today? Love that because this is my favorite part. Warming up your vocal folds before use. As we said, I believe that singers are athletes. Not I believe. I know that singers are athletes. Why? Because we use our whole bodies to make sound, to phonate. Lip trills are some of the things that we like to do. So, how many people, for those of you who are rappers or songwriters or singers in general, how many people warm up their voices before they do anything with it? And it's okay if you don't. How do you warm up your voice?
I would usually start by making noise from like the lowest part of my body to the highest part.
Love that. So almost
the lowest pitch to the highest.
Almost in a siren technique, like
yes.
Woo, love that. How about you? I see you. I didn't forget.
Oh, sorry.
No, you and then.
Oh
yeah.
shoot. Man, I kind of get like kind of pumped and I kind of like, let's go. Like maybe that's not right, but I do that and then I sometimes kind of just relax my whole body.
Got it.
And I start just talking.
I love that. So you kind of pep yourself up.
Yeah.
But I noticed you said you went.
Yeah, I kind of
right?
do that. Yeah.
So love that. Love that you're pumping yourself up. But I'm gonna offer something to you. Maybe doing it from. Maybe it doesn't have the same effect, right? Huh! I did that from here, right? Nice. But thank you for sharing.
I didn't raise my hand initially because I guess I don't really warm up. But my only way of warming up would be like whatever it is that I'm going to like sing or rap. I would just do like a practice run of it.
Love
just
it.
To see.
Just to warm the folds up, right? Thank you all for sharing. So lip trills are one of my favorite warm-ups to warm up your voice. I do it before I sing. I actually do it before I speak. I was doing it on the Metro North here today. Why? It's because it's an easy, personal way to warm up your voice, right? Oftentimes you're walking, let's say down the street, you're walking to class, you're walking to campus. To be realistic, you don't always have 20 minutes to be in a practice room. You don't always have time to be by yourself. You don't have time to like, I'm going to do a formal, official like vocal warm-up. Lip trills are the easiest way to do that, right? So you're actually phonating and using your voice without having to say words or without having to sing words. So I want everybody to just put your lips together loosely. Don't press loosely and just blow air. Just try that. Yeah? So now I'm going to add a pitch to it. Is that on? Got you. Thank you. C, please. There. So you when you try to add a pitch to it, just go. Right. Congratulations. You're now actually using your voice and singing your voice without having to disturb anybody, right? So this is one of my favorite warm-ups. I live in New York City. when I'm walking down the street and I don't want to disturb folks and I don't want them to think I'm like going through something or going through a breakup, I'm warming up my voice with the lip trill. It can be something as intricate as that, or something simple. You can hum like the alphabet. You can hum "Happy Birthday." So my vocal folds are getting the stretch. I'm not really using them as much, right? But it's a nice warm up and a nice way to introduce movement and stretch into your vocal folds. C major again, please. Maestro. Let me try something. Can we all just go? Can we try that together? And one more up. Take a breath and don't forget your breath. And one more. And yes, don't try not to push so much. One more and last one. And thank you. So, again, I've only done that because I do it actually for a choral/vocal warm-up for voice lessons. However, you can do that on any kind of pitch, any easy song that you know. If you're working on a piece, like if you said you're going in the studio and you're about to record something, you can hum that or lip trill it in the same way and you'll be warmed up. Humming has the same effect, right? So I'm not actually opening my mouth, but I'm just going to hum. So I'm not really extensively using my voice, but it's a nice way to wake up your voice in the morning. One of the first things I like to do when I'm getting ready for work in the morning and school in the morning, just humming to get my voice moving, right? Tongue trills. So if you're not a lip trill person, I know that some people were like having a little bit of a difficulty doing that, and that is okay. Tongue trills also work in the same way. So instead of I can't actually do a tongue trill in the best, but that also warms up your voice without having to push it past its limit when you're first waking up in the morning, right? How many people like my voice? I'm what we call a tenor, which is like a high male voice. But in the morning I sound a little bit like Barry White because I'm waking up, right? This is a fun way to get your voice moving and active in that way. Straw technique. I love this so much. I wish I had a straw. Singing anything through a straw, right? So what happens is your mouth. How many people play like a brass instrument or play anything? What do you play? Everything, right? So embouchure, right? So like your mouth, you're doing that when you're singing. This is just the place where the voice wants to come out of, right? You're making a shape for the voice to come out of. The straw technique, you're singing, you're just changing the embouchure, you're changing where the sound is coming. So you're actually singing and not having to sing as much because it's a smaller space. So using a straw, I like to typically use a metal straw. I usually carry one with me and I wish I had it with me today. Literally taking a straw and blowing through it and singing something through it at a lower pitch. So
do you want to grab some straws and go
you have one?
Run to the cafe?
Oh yes. If
I got you.
Somebody.
Please. No, stay here.
So literally blowing through a straw.
We need
4,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There might be some here.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe.
So I like to do something like. And even if you don't play piano, yes, I went to the piano and had the ability to go do, re, mi, re, do. Not worried about that. All of you are artists, all of you are creatives, and you know how to at least find some kind of pitch where you know a song. It can literally be Baby Shark, right? So like I teach 5th grade, so that's why that's on my brain. Yeah. All right. Oh, amazing! Can everybody take one? Oh, this is perfect. Like timing. I know that. Thank you so much. Check it out. All right. So, how many people actually know this? I mean, everybody should know. I hope everybody knows Happy Birthday. D major, please.
D major?
Yeah. We're all just gonna sing Happy Birthday, but through our straws. But remember, to make this work, we're still thinking connection to our breath, right? So if you're gonna sit, you should be sitting up, thinking, I want to get a nice deep low breath. Yes? Here we go. 1, 2, and. And. Ran. Thank you, man. Beautiful. Bravo. Bravo. So, what did you feel when you did that? Tell me what the sensation was when you did that.
Like a tickle on my tongue.
A tickle, yes, that's the vibration, right? So like typically when you're phonating, the vibration it's going somewhere, right? So you don't actually get to feel that kind of reverb back in your body, right? Let me restate that. So you will feel like in your face, in the hard like places in your body, like we call these like hard like surfaces. You'll sometimes feel like your voice bounce off of these like your cheekbones or your head, these like hard spaces. But other than that, you don't really feel that. But because the sound is now like constricted to just this tube, you actually feel those vibrations. So again, it lets you know that you're using your voice, you're warming up your voice, but in a like a less loud place, right? So this is I would use a bigger straw, that's okay. So maybe using like perhaps a metal straw, if you want to just grab a straw and be like, I need to warm up my voice, humming blue sky smiling at me. Right? Getting your voice moving. I love to carry a straw and I don't know why I don't have mine today. So again, all these, I just wanted to make this diagram here. I just wanted to point out like how involved or how many different parts of your body is connected to using your voice. Your resonatory system, your phonatory system, and your respiratory system are all involved in making phonation, right? So you see, they have the diaphragm. Again, I want to say that is involuntary, but it is involved in the sense that when you take your deep, low breath, it gets pushed out of the way. Your lungs are what makes the breath or produces the breath. Your vocal tract or your larynx is a place that it travels. The oral cavity is where the sound comes out. And the sinus cavity is something where it likes to live and where it likes to bounce off of because, again, it's a hard surface. So, communication. My second favorite part of this. Communication and storytelling. As you put all those parts together, those moving pieces, oftentimes it's like, oh, you got to get a good breath. You got to warm up your body. You got to warm up your voice. You got to make sure you have good posture. And you still got to get the message across, right? Regardless of what it is that you're doing, whether you're giving a speech, whether you are about to sing a Grammy Award-winning performance, whether you're about to record something, whether you're the producer on the side of the vocalist who is about to produce something, the goal is to communicate and to storytell something, right? So I want to ask y'all a couple of questions. What do you feel is important when you're trying to communicate? Like, what do you feel as vocalists, because we're all vocalists, what do you feel is the most important part of communication and or like storytelling? I got you next. Yes, sir.
Delivery.
Delivery. I love that.
I'd say emotion.
Emotion. I love that. Anybody else? Y'all gotta raise y'all's hands. Just tell me.
Lyrics.
Lyrics. Yes.
Emphasis.
Emphasis. I love emphasis. Yes, I like that.
The message.
The message. Love that too. Maestro, anything?
Clarity?
Clarity, right? I love these things. So all of these little things, small but mighty, things have to come together. All of these beautiful things that you all offered just now in this space have to come together to tell them a message, right? So you have those things, and then you still kind of got to get a good breath, and then you still kind of got to make sure your voice is warm. You got to make sure you're well rested, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. You got to make sure you're hydrated, which again we're going to talk about, right? But you must still tell stories. So I want to say this and offer this up, right? So all this breathing stuff that I'm talking about, posture, exploring your voice, that all counts and that all matters, but it doesn't matter if you're not going to tell a story, right? So if I'm saying, I'm teaching Seasons of Love right now, like high school chorus, right? And I'll say 525,600 minutes. Are y'all convinced? Right? Not really, right? But if I use diction, clarity, emphasis, right? 525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments so dear. Automatically, as a listener, I'm already engaged, right? Now, the breathing and all of that stuff, the more you practice it, the more you I guess, engage with those sensations as vocalists, I'll say, that stuff will come second nature. But I want to say also, as you are creatives of the next generation, of this generation now, don't ever forget the storytelling part of this, right? And that happens with things like diction, right? So can we repeat after me? Say, little Tommy Tinker. Y'all gonna laugh at this one for the story. Say, little Tommy Tinker.
Little Tommy Tinker.
Sat on his clinker.
Sat on his
The
clinker.
toilet, yes. And he began to cry.
And he began to cry.
Ma,
Ma.
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 Poor little innocent guy.
Poor little innocent guy.
Right. Does anybody think they know what this warm up is, or why? Like what in particular it's used to warm up?
Tongue twisters.
It's a tongue twister, which is used to warm up what?
Tongue.
Tongue.
Diction.
Ooh, say it loud and clear.
Diction.
Yes, diction. Little Tommy Tinker
Little Tommy Tinker.
sat on his clinker,
Sat on his clinker.
and he began to cry.
And he began to cry.
Ma,
Ma.
ma,
Ma.
poor little innocent guy.
Little
Right?
innocent
So I
guy.
could walk up to Isis and just go, little Tommy Tinker sat on his clinker, he began to cry. Ma, poor little innocent guy. Are you convinced by that? No. What's your name again?
Bryce.
Bryce. If I went up to Bryce and was like, yo, little Tommy Tinker sat on his clinker and he began to cry. Ma, poor little innocent guy. Are you convinced in that?
Yeah.
Right? So thinking about clarity, things like diction, right? So again, regardless of how you use your voice, even as a speaker, one of the things that I like to do on the phone when I'm talking to like customer service and student loan folks, I'm on the phone and I'm like, hello, good evening, how are you? Right? Just so I know that there's no room for error in the sense that I'm communicating and telling a story and telling them what it is that I need. What story are you trying to tell? Making sure that we want to, use correct emphasis on things and correct emphasis on things for the story. So like let's say I was telling a story that was like quite sad, but I was like screaming at the top of my lungs in terms of dynamic. We all understand forte, piano, dynamics, right? So if I was sad, I'd be like, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with myself today. Speaking at a quieter dynamic. But if I was sad, I wanted to, portray that emotion. I might not scream it. I wouldn't be like, I'm really sad and I really want to do that. Not really the same kind of like dynamic that I would use if I was trying to communicate that message, right? This last quote is one of my favorite friends. She's one of my best friends. Her name is Anastasia Talley. She used to say to us in grad school, she's currently Katherine Jackson on the MJ musical tour, the touring cast. And she used to say to us in grad school, words mean things. And I thought the woman was like out of her mind. Words mean things. And I'd be like, what do you mean by saying words mean things, right? And she would say, it's because when we are, as artists, as creators, whatever it is you do, you want to make sure that whatever word you're saying, you're putting emphasis on those things and giving a deliberate use of that word, right? Things like emphasis, things like text, things like clarity, making sure that we give that kind of like text painting kind of thing, so we are accurately portraying those words and communicating those words.
Oh, I think
Yeah, you dropped it.
Oh yeah, thank you. And I have this gentleman on the screen here, Busta Rhymes, because he, in terms of tempo and flow, he raps at a rather fast pace in terms of his flow, right? There's not one time where I don't understand anything that he's saying. And part of that is because he understands that he is telling a story, and he understands that if I'm using my voice in a particular way, they are going to get the message, regardless of how fast or how slow I sing, or talk, or speak, right? So, I want to say that because, again, there are many people who do that, but he's one of my favorites. I just had to add him up there. Vocal hygiene, right? We hear hygiene, and folks, when I say this, folks are like, oh, what do you mean vocal hygiene, right? Literally, how do you take care of your voice? Hydrate. There's no substitution for water for your voices, for your bodies, right? Our bodies need water. Therefore, our voices also need water, right? People ask me all the time, as a vocalist, and I don't ever call myself an expert. I like to call myself a specialist. They always say, what can I drink if my voice is a little dry and a little hoarse? Water, right? Of course you like tea. Of course I love tea. It helps, soothe the voice. Of a rule of thumb, if you're going to have hot beverages for your voice, make sure that it's not an extreme temperature. So not really, really hot, because what happens is your vocal folds go, oh, that's really hot. And they tense up. Same thing with really, really cold water. Now, I'm not saying on a hot summer day where it's like 99 degrees, you don't want to have a nice cold, freezing, bottle of water, right? However, repetitively that could be a little bit, damaging in your vocal folds. It's really, really cold, so maybe lukewarm every now and then. There's no substitute for hydrating your voice. There's also no substitute for rest, right? So our voices are part of our bodies. So if you're tired, 9 times out of 10, your voice is also going to be tired, right? So if you're not getting adequate sleep, and I don't mean just rest also by sleep. Yes, that's part of it, but perhaps how you use your voice and how much you use your voice, right? So if you're going to go out, I know you all are college students and you like to go out and do the thing. Love that, because I do too. However, maybe if you're going to somewhere with loud music and I'm screaming because I'm trying to speak over subwoofer speakers, or there's a live band playing a cover band, and I'm going to be speaking like this all night knowing I have to record something at 10 a.m. the next day. Now you wake up next day, voice is tired, right? So there's no substitute for resting your voice. So maybe say, like, if you do want to go out, y'all, I'm going to go out, but I'm going to shut up. All right? There's one of my favorite opera singers. Her name is Kathleen Battle. Her claim to fame is that she was at the Metropolitan Opera in the 90s. Unfortunately, was fired. Won't get into that story. But there's an interview with her on YouTube, and I'll send it to Kevin if y'all want to look at it. And she says, the interviewer asks her, how do you save your voice as a singer? She says, well, one of the things I do like to do is not try to talk to people on planes as much, right? And so in that interview, they were trying to portray and depict her as this like diva, which I'm going to be honest, there's a little bit of a diva about her. But however, she was quite adamant about her vocal hygiene and her vocal health. I'm sorry, I don't feel like talking to you on this plane because I want to save my voice, right? So as vocalists, do not be ashamed or do not be afraid to rest your voice. It is your body. It is your voice. You have agency over it. Yes. So if you go, you're using your voice, you go, you know what? I'm going to cut this phone call. And I've done this plenty of times, right? With some of my friends, I'm like, yo, I love you to death. But we've been on the phone for 40 minutes and my voice is tired and I got to go. Right? So just being honest about that. And I have this last point on it. Drug, alcohol use. I know that we are all adults. We are all grown. But I like to say everything in moderation, right? So like, let's say rubbing alcohol. How many of us had a boo-boo when as a kid? You got a little scrape on the knee and mom or dad takes peroxide or alcohol and they wipe it. What's the first thing or first sensation you feel when you do that? It's a sting, but it also feels like it's dry, right? Drinking alcohol does the same thing to your vocal folds, right? You ever know you have a drink or beverage? I hope everybody's 21 and up. If not, I don't want to talk about it. But like, you take a drink and the next morning your voice is hoarse, right? So it does the same thing to your vocal folds, right? So everything in moderation. So I have this image up here. Do's and don'ts. Hey, good evening. Hydration, voice rest, breathing exercise, healthy diet. What you eat also comes into play when it comes to how to take care of your voice. I'm not a fan of telling folks what they can and cannot have as vocalists, but there are factually some things that do produce a lot more mucus than normal. Things like dairy. I love dairy. I love cheese, but I might not have it if I know I've got to record something the next day, right? I might not have a whole like 10 slice cheese pizza before singing or before having to use my voice extensively, right? Other things like tomatoes that have like acid and things like that. If you're having a lot of tomatoes, that also has an effect on the voice. So if you have to record or use your voice in an extensive way, maybe saying, it's okay to have a slice of, cheese pizza with a tomato on it, but maybe I don't want to have 2 or 3, right? Thinking of these things that help your voice to be its best and be in its best shape. And so I want to end this part of the lecture with questions. And I hope that y'all have questions. I like to say that there are no dumb questions and no silly questions. So please, please, please ask away. That concludes what I have to say. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Please ask questions. I want to know this. Yes.
I was gonna ask what your approach was to singing different styles.
I love that. So I sing a lot of different genres of music. I sing jazz, gospel, R&B, classical. My approach is such that I kind of do research first. And kind of listen to folks who maybe have made it in their respective genres. And making sure that I'm, understanding the style and the music first from a historical context. And then trying to train my voice to do the thing in the way that I want to do. So as a classical singer, right, everything is like rounded, tall, long vowels. But as a gospel singer, I might do something like wider. I know I've been changed. But if I was singing the classical, no, I've been changed. But really doing the research and really listening attentively to see what the differences is in those styles to make sure that I am communicating and storytelling in the best way, right? In the most accurate way. Great question.
I'm sorry. Can you talk more about that vowel piece? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, so typically in classical music, the vowels are longer, your mouth is more rounded, right? And I think it also has something to do with the acoustics, right? So typically in classical styles of classical singing, there aren't any microphones. So that also helps the acoustic in that way. Versus if I'm singing wider vowels, spread vowels, I'm usually using a mic. If I'm in church, if I'm singing gospel or jazz, I'm using a mic. So I can do wider things without having to like affect the acoustics, right? Also with breath. So in classical singing, it's like, oh, I'm going to sing here. I'm going to do everything aligned because I want to make sure everything is aligned with my breath. Gospel, same thing with the breath, but not as much. So I can do a little bit more with the freedom of the vowel. So it's really a stylistic choice. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Anything else? Anything else? Do you want to?
I don't want to assert myself too much, but yeah, the wide, the width. Maybe we can circle back and talk a little bit about exactly what that means.
Let's do it.
But, yo, Cass, you got a question?
Oh, well, I was going to ask in the difference between those two. What I heard, it sounded like the first example was a little breathier, and the second example maybe had more resonance in your head.
Absolutely.
Are you thinking about those things? Are you conscious of where you're directing the sound in your head?
Yeah, so for more classical styles, right? Because again, we're thinking about it acoustically. Your body naturally has all these like resonators, these resonant spaces that it bounces off of, where you got like your cheeks, you've got your head, and I'm going to think vertically so that my voice is best aligned with where it can resonate naturally in my body. Versus if I'm doing something a little bit more contemporary, I don't have to worry about that as much. I can add breathiness, and it's a choice as a creative and as a vocalist to go, I want to sing like that, right? I don't have to use the acoustic as much. Versus if I'm going, thinking, I want that to bounce off the top of my head so that it gets out to anywhere that I need it to get out without use of a microphone. Thank you.
I've got one other quick one.
Yeah.
I once worked with, I used to work with this person a lot, a Broadway vocalist, who for some reason swore by the use of classic Lay's potato chips to lubricate his throat before sessions. What's your take on that?
I agree. Because there is again, I think everything in moderation is healthy, right? So like Lay's potato chips have some oil, they have some kind of greasiness to it, and it's not to the point where you're eating like a piece of it is fried food, but it's not like a hot piece of fried food with excessive kind of like oil dripping. It's the perfect kind of lubrication for your voice, right? One of the other things that I like to use or eat before I sing anything, natural like fruit juices. So like guava, mango. Every morning on Saturday I go to this Dominican restaurant in my neighborhood and I get this passion fruit juice because it's a little thicker in its texture, right? But it also helps my voice to be perfectly like lubricated and ready to go and like warmed up versus something that's a little bit thinner, like a tea or water. Even though water is great, water's a little bit thin and it doesn't get the same kind of lubrication that your voice needs. And by the way, I want to say this while we're on the conversation of drinking like things for your voice. If you're going to drink water, not if, but when you drink water, there's this kind of assumption that, oh, I'm about to sing right now, I'm about to use my voice, I need to drink right now immediately. It actually takes kind of like 24 hours for that same kind of water to get into your body and to affect your vocal folds. So if you do have things to do, if you do have some kind of extensive voice use to do, probably doing that a day or so in advance, right? Like before I go to bed, I drink a bottle of water each day, like at night. So that when I wake up, I'm not going, like my voice feels so dry, right? Giving your body time to process that kind of like lubrication in that kind of liquid. Thank you.
I have another question. What's your approach to singing in certain keys or staying in tune with songs? Do you like play along with an instrument or do you go by ear?
I love that question. Can you ask it one more time? So I want to make sure I hear every single part.
What's your approach to singing in certain keys and making sure that you're staying in tune with the song? Do you go by ear or do you play along with the instrument?
Got it. So typically for my voice, because again I'm a tenor, it's like the high male voice. Let's say I'm singing something like a jazz standard that exists in several different keys, right? My Funny Valentine. the tendency is to go to a recording that I really enjoy, like I love Sarah Vaughan or Ella Fitzgerald, I'll go listen. However, I would not sing it in the same key as them because that's the key that their voice shines in the most, right? So I try to say, okay, well, she's singing it in this key. I'm going to try it in this key for my voice. So I'll go to a song, listen to it, and I'll go to the piano and go, oh, let's see. Is this for me? Not really. And I'll check it out and see where I am to see what is the best key for me, right? And typically, if it's a song, I'll start at the highest note in the song to see where my voice feels in that way, and then I'll check out the lowest note in the song and go, how does my voice feel? Like, I could probably sing it comfortably and healthily, but is it where my voice likes to shine? What I mean by that is, as a tenor, my voice likes to shine in the upper part of my register, right? As a bass or a baritone, if you're a soprano or alto, sopranos, their voices like to shine in the upper part, the high part. Altos might shine in the lower part. So that determines, okay, well, I'm going to do this key in this, I'll do the song in this key. And in terms of if I use an instrument or learning by ear, I actually don't play any instruments like that. I'm proficient in piano. So I like to play around the piano and go, okay, D major, let me check and see what this feels like for me. And I'll check it in D flat. Maybe D flat is not the best key, then I'll maybe take it down to D, right? So just playing around, and if you're not somebody who also is proficient in that way, that's also okay. You can also listen and feel in your body. Again, as singers, we sing on sensation. So you'll know when the key is right for you in your voice. You know, let's say if I sing, My Funny Valentine, I can feel that in my voice and my body and go, that's not the right key for me. You're my funny Valentine, sweet. So not only was I able to communicate the melody, I was able to do it and make it my own comfortably, and it made my voice shine, right? So as vocalists, you want to feel and think and do things on sensation. So even if you don't play an instrument, you know what feels comfortable for your voice and your body. Yeah? Great question. Thank you.
Do you ever find yourself singing in keys that your voice isn't comfortable with?
I teach elementary school, so yes, right? So oftentimes I'm singing up in the stratosphere. But all jokes aside, yes, a lot of times if there's a song that I really enjoy, if it's an artist that I'm really inspired by, I'm often trying to sing the song in that key. But if I'm gonna effectively tell a story or effectively communicate, because that is important, I want to make sure that I'm doing it in my way in the best key for me. I'll tell y'all a story a little bit. So last year, again, I told y'all I work at the school, and we were performing. I was asked to perform "Home" from The Wiz with a student. The student was a high school senior who was a woman, a young girl, and I'm a 33 or 34-year-old man. So the key that's going to work for her is not the key that's also going to work for my voice, right? So we had some moments where I was like, yo, what are we going to do? You're going to sing it in D flat. I got to sing it in G. Like, how do we figure that out? And so it was really fun and really interesting trying to figure out how to navigate that for both of us. We eventually it was student-centered, so I made sure that she was able to shine in her voice, which, we did it in the key where she shined. But believe me, I was down in the basement when I think of home, I think of a place. But the important part of that was, I was like, okay, if I know the key is not appropriate for me or not the best for my voice to shine, I can play with other things. I can play with diction. I can play with style, right? I love Barry White, right? So I listen to some low singers. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing, right? Usually I do something up as a tenor, as a higher voice. But this is an opportunity for me to tell a different story, to use my voice in a different kind of way. So, great question. Say again?
I have another question.
Sure, and then I see your hand, Anthony. I didn't forget. Yeah.
How would you approach singing octaves and fifths, if you're layering vocals?
So say how would I approach singing if I was, say it one more time?
Octaves and fifths, singing, if you're singing a chorus maybe, and you want to add fifths, there's a main vocal, there's an octave, and then there's a fifth.
Mm-hmm.
How would you approach singing the fifth? Because I find it hard to find the right notes for that.
So could you play Steve? Absolutely. Could you just sing I love you? You just sing, yeah. In your naturalist voice.
I love you.
So you're saying if I add I love you, the fifth above that, and then you're saying how do I approach that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. I think about it in terms of blending, in terms of making sure that if there's a particular way in which I use my voice on the tonic, on the bottom note, on the bass note, making sure that it matches up in the way that, so I'm not going to add something rhythmically different so that the chord lines up, right? So, I love you. And then the fifth, I love you. But in that fifth, I add a little bit more vibrato. So the chord is not actually, to me, in my ear, it's not going to lock in the most, like, efficient way, if that makes sense. I love you, straight tone, just at the very base. I love you, right? So that I know that if nothing else, the chord and the harmony is locked up. But if I go, I love you, or I love you, all this vibrato and all this extra, then I got to do the same thing for that fifth. I love you, right? And then if I want to change it, once I make sure the chord is locked up, then I can add stylistic things so that I know, oh, the tonic is good, the bass note is good. Then I can layer at the fifth to make sure, that is like in line. So one of my favorite singers that actually does that quite often and so neatly and so, like well, and I get it. She has like some of the best producers and some of the best recording engineers that she like known to like man. Is Beyonce though. She often layers her voice. And I'm like, yo, this sounds like it's a bunch of different singers, but it's actually all her layering her voice, making sure that each chord is locked up, making sure that each cutoff, right? Like one is not longer than the other, right? One might be 2 beats or 3 beats, and then making sure that it's not like a beat and a half, like a dotted quarter, dotted like 8 added to that, right? She makes sure everything is like lined up to the T. And of course, like I said, part of that is who she gets to work with in the industry, but it's that kind of like detailed work that takes you from like basic to like I really know I know my ish. Great question.
Lately I've been finding myself like sounding like I have a sinus infection when I sing. Not that I don't have one. When I sing, like it's that kind of sound. How do I go about making sure that's not coming out of my voice while I'm singing?
Got it. So you're saying that when you sing, you want to know how to make it like a less of a nasal sound?
Clear, yeah, more
Love
clear.
that. So, I want you to try this. Just yawn. Say, hi. Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Even more dramatic. Go, hi, my name is Anthony. Try it.
Wait.
But yawn first. See if you can yawn first. Again, breath.
I have a yawn coming.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Right. Now, go, hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Even more nasally. Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Now, see if you can find the middle place between the really nasal and the really hollow. Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Can you try and sing it? Say, hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
I don't hear it in your nose, but can you try it from here now so you can support it from your put your thumb on your tummy or your belly button, belly button. Take a breath and go, hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, my name is Anthony. Let's change the key down a little bit. Hi, my name is Anthony.
No.
Yeah, but listen. You're going in the right direction, right? Right now it sounds a little bit breathy.
Right.
That's okay. You want to find that middle place between here and here.
Here.
Right? So see if you can play around with that and starting it from supporting your breath so that it doesn't go here. Typically, as singers, as vocalists, what happens is when you don't support your voice, the voice automatically wants to go here. Right? If I go, yeah, 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 I'm here. But if I, yeah, 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 not as nasally, right? Because I'm supporting the breath and the voice, and it wants to go somewhere because I've had the support versus just going, I'm going to send it here because it's not really supported anywhere else. I'm going to play with that. I'm going to try to see if you can make it on purpose, really breathy, really hooty, and then really, really here, and see if you can find that middle ground. All right?
Yeah, for sure.
Great question.
Thank you.
Sis.
Thanks for the first week.
Of course. Any other question? Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to know more about like I don't know how you like I guess experiment with like I guess it would be diction like and like pronunciation like I like how Kanye does like in his early work like
Oh yeah.
how he would enunciate things like in weird ways. I don't know. I guess my question would be like how would you go about that or like practice that to be more free flowing with?
Love that. So I always like to say it all starts from the lips, the teeth, and the tip of the tongue. They literally call them the linden tree consonants. The lips,
Lips,
teeth,
teeth,
tip of the tongue.
tip.
Now try to repeat that. The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue.
The lips, the teeth, the tip, the tongue. Oh.
Right? So what's happening is you're using all of this frontal motion and movement, right? Versus speaking from a glottal place or from the back. So you're saying, let's say, I'm doing a song again with my kids and I go, purple pickle pumpernickel, right? If I could say it from the back of my throat, it's so much harder to do it because it's purple pickle pumpernickel. I'm using my throat to say that versus the lips, the teeth, and the tip of the tongue. Purple pickle pumpernickel, right? I literally like stumped myself. But using it and saying it from like a frontal place lets this work versus like your throat, because then what happens is you get tired. So even if you want to read something, let's say you're about to recite a poem, or you've got a verse, perhaps reciting it with emphasis on the lips, the teeth, and the tip of the tongue. Like, questions and concerns, tislam.swift89@gmail.com. I'm using that from the thought of, or from the place of, again, the lips, the teeth, tip of tongue. Mm-hmm.
And like, is that how
That's
you would
the
go
way.
about like? Because I feel like I find problems as well. Like, I want to be able to project myself properly to. Just so like I don't want to slur my words so that people can actually hear and know what I say. I find myself slurring my words a lot, especially when I try to say stuff faster. Would that be like a way?
Absolutely. And there's another way even too, right? So like training your tongue is another way to maybe think about warming up not only your voice but your mouth to start speaking, right? This is silly, but I had a voice teacher once tell me, you have so much tongue tension, that's why your diction is as sloppy as it is. And at first I was like, who you calling sloppy? But like he was right? And so he literally was like, yo, see if you can like take a lollipop and see what you can do with your like tongue, and like see if you can like train your tongue to like just move around so that when it comes time to use it, it's really involved and really active in regards to singing and speaking, right? The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. See, literally it's my tongue doing the work and not like me trying to speak from my throat and making it throttle or like glottal in the back. I'll say like, hi, my name is Tislam and I'm so excited to be here at Mercy University because I'm speaking with the tip of my tongue because it's helping me enunciate and speak all the things that I want to say and communicate effectively because the tongue is working. Yeah? Nice. I love that question. You? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have one more question. It's more of a recording question. Do you have a preference on vocal mic for your voice?
I actually don't. I don't do that much studio recording, believe it or not. But I don't know. When I get to that point in my career, I will let you know. I love that question, though. Love that question. Anybody else? Julie, you don't have any questions?
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay. Is that a hand? No?
I could relate a problem that I have as a someone. You can hear in my throat, you can hear all the gravel and all this. I'm closer to 50 than anything else. But I try to sing. I've been playing guitar since I was 9 years old. I have such a connection with the instrument that what I find is that when I'm trying to sing and play at the same time, I'm either not thinking about my voice and it will just come out however it does, often shouting. Or the opposite will happen. I will start thinking about my singing and paying attention to where I am, what's coming through the microphone, and my body will just forget how to do things. What do you suggest for that? Should I maybe like just sing without the instrument for a while to make it primary? Or?
Absolutely, right? So I always like to say vocalists, again, we sing and we do things on sensation. So the more you are in tune with those sensations separate from playing the instrument, the more that when you put those two things together, it's going to just become like second nature, right? Like oftentimes as students of music and of the arts, it's like, oh, before you even present anything, you got to get like your posture, you got to work on your posture, then you got to work on your breathing, then you got to work on like diction and all these added parts, and then you got to throw all of that together, and it's just like, what? Like I'm doing the thing, right? But the more you practice them by itself, and you put those things together, it's going to just become second nature, and it'll feel like second nature for you. I love that question. Thank you. Hey, how are you? What's your name?
Naman.
No,
Naman.
Naman, nice to meet you, Naman. Thank you for coming. Anybody else?
Actually, one more. Do you want to?
No, I'm thinking.
What do you think?
I was gonna ask what your thoughts were on vocal tuning in recording or auto tuning in recording.
Do you want my opinion on it? Or
like whether you think it's like a positive or a negative thing for singers.
Again, I think everything in moderation, right? So like if you know that like like sometimes some people use it as a stylistic choice, right, which is okay in an artistic choice, and some people use it because they actually need it to stay in tune. I'm not saying either is bad. I love auto tune when it is used effectively and not used extensively. I always like to say again, everything in moderation. Because I think sometimes it's like, oh, this is a really cool effect, a really cool like, kind of like neat, unique thing to add to a piece. But when it's too much, personally, I don't really care for it. But it is the way in which we're going, and we're in the way in which we're seeing more music being used in auto tune use being a lot more than we're used to seeing it. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that somebody is less of a musician or an artist because they use auto tune. It's just maybe it's a stylistic choice or a genre choice, right? It also is quite helpful for folks who may not be able to sing in tune or to represent their voice in the most efficient way in tune. And that's okay. That's what we have. And I'm so grateful for it, right? Because some of my favorite artists, maybe use it a lot. And that's okay. I love that.
So this is like a two-part question. Like singers. Wait, how was I gonna say it? Why is it that when we try, like singers that want to be singers and are practicing and trying to sing, we record our voices singing and we hear it back and we're like, God, I hate my voice. How, and I guess the second part of that question would be like, how does a singer gain confidence in his vocal?
I love it.
In general.
Love that question. I want to say that each person, each vocalist, each singer is different, right? So like what I hear from what you just said to me is way different from what you'll hear because you're hearing your body from inside, right? Like you're hearing your voice literally vibrate off of hard surfaces. Mm-hmm. So what you hear is way different from what I hear, right? It takes time. Everybody's like process is different, right? Like I'm still in a space where I'm learning to love my voice in a way that is like unconditional, even in the worst of days. And I'm like, oh, my voice sounds like crap. Like I literally cracked as I was singing in front of a bunch of fifth graders. And I had to be like, that's okay, I'm human. My voice cracked. It's 10:30 in the morning and my voice cracked. I am human and it's okay, right? So you got to get to the point where you love your voice enough to be like, I love my voice and that's okay, right? It's a process for every single person. It's different. I will say to everybody, please listen to your voice. I know it's one of the most like anxiety producing things possible to be like, oh my gosh, I literally have to sit here and listen to my voice. But there's value in it. You get to learn your voice. You get to be intimate with your voice. That is a way that only you know, right? Like sometimes I often go back to listening to myself when I was like 17 years old to now being 34 and being like, whoa, like that is not how I ever thought I would sound now, right? And even if it's like I sang this a month ago, right? Or I performed this a month ago, I recorded this a month ago, going back and listening to it and being like, I've got to love this voice so much so that if anybody says anything cruel about my voice, or, unfortunately, I hate to say that, but if somebody says, oh, I don't like his recording voice, he records trash, you got to know to be like, I don't care what you say, I love my voice and I know what it can do, right? Having that process with yourself enough to be like, this is the voice that I got and I'm going to use it to communicate, to tell stories. For sure. Great question. Anybody else?
I could easily ask you questions all night. In analysis of other people's work and using it to inform my practice to get better at singing, I notice that often an artist will have a few different sort of gears to be in. One might be more of a spoken voice, and then there's maybe a level above that, and then maybe another level of intensity, and then a full out like belter, more intense. Now, is that the type of thing that you feel might just develop naturally through practice, or are those deliberate, specific things to target?
I think it's a mixture of both, right? So I think like if you know the story that you're trying to tell and what your goal is in terms of trying to communicate, you can lay it out and say, I want to maybe be a little bit more calm and soothing here. And then as I progress in whatever project that is, I'm going to take it another level, right? I like to say like, the more you practice something, let's say like I'm recording a song for the first time and somebody like gave me a song and they wrote it out and they charted it out and I'm about to sing it. And the first time that I sing it and I phone it and I open my mouth, again, singing is 90% like mental and thinking. I'm only thinking that I want to make sure I get all the notes and pitches right in the first kind of like moments with this piece. The more I have experience with it, the more I'm singing from a realistic place, a spiritual place as an artist, right, and an effective place to make sure I'm sending this message out, right. So I think it's a mixture of both. You know, I think when I'm learning something, it's like, okay, I'm gonna plan it out, and then I can sing at the fullest volume, and then I can really bring that vigor and that kind of like passion. But also, again, as artists, as creators, we all know those moments where we feel something, and you're like, man, forget what's on this page. I know that I gotta like say this. Whatever it is that I gotta say, whatever it is I want to say, it's gonna come out in its own natural kind of like in its feeling, right? Like I know we've all. How many of y'all have had moments as a creative, whether you're a producer, vocalist, writer, rapper, where you're like, dang, that felt really good, and I was like almost in a trance where it's like, yo, like I know it, right? So like, trust those moments where you feel like, you know, when you start a project and you're like, yeah, I started this project. And I'm still in the learning stages, and I don't know what it's going to do. I'm still in the planning stages. And then look back and go, wow, like, I remember when it was at that moment, and now it feels really good because I really know what I'm saying, and I really know that I've reached a point where I'm communicating a message or a story to somebody effectively. Don't ever forget those moments. I'm telling you, like, and I have to say that to myself oftentimes as a vocalist, especially as a classical vocalist, when I'm learning something that somebody's already written out, and I'm like, gosh, I gotta count these notes out. I've gotta like translate the lyrics and that kind of thing. And I think to that, and then I go to the end of that experience, and merci beaucoup. Hydration is key. And I go, wow, like I'm actually here. I am telling this story from a real place, from a spiritual place, and it makes me feel so grateful of the process, right? Enjoying that process of like getting to the point where you feel like I am now like at the spiritual level of like storytelling. Or sharing your gift in whichever way that is.
I have a question. I guess this definitely does have to do with like vocalizing, but also I guess like the aspect of songwriting. Like, how would you go about like? Sometimes I find myself trying to like fit too much into like a small space. So how would you go about, I guess, dragging things out? Like, I guess a good example of what I'm trying to say is like Drake, like his R&B type style songs. I noticed that like when he sings, he's able to like get a pretty big point across, like just by extending out the lines like of what he's saying, like throughout multiple bars. Because sometimes I guess I find myself trying to like rhyme too much. So like I guess that's what I'm trying to describe. Like, how do you find where to find good rhyme patterns to like be able to extend what you want to say, if that makes sense? Good rhyme patterns.
So. I like to say like maybe trying to say something in your own words first before. So like, what's your process when you're writing? Are you choosing a beat first and then trying to rhyme to that, or are you starting with the lyrics first?
I would usually probably have a beat first.
Right, and I love that. But what I would recommend is maybe perhaps like playing around with the words first, playing around with the poetry, because it is in fact still poetry, right? Playing around with that first, and then challenging yourself to see if you could not have to stick to like a specific rhyme scheme, right? I think the beauty in like artists like Drake these days and like more modern contemporary like hip hop artists is that like yes, they were still rhyming, but they're being a little bit more creative in the sense that they might say something like fight and then like flight. So they don't exactly rhyme up word for word or letter for letter, but like or like name. I'm trying to think of a word. I don't know, but like the point is that like you don't want to stick to that beat before you like get the poetry down packed. See if you can like play with the poetry first. I am not a rapper, I'll tell you that the truth, but I do sometimes write songs for my own self. I've not produced anything or like shared it with the world just yet. But in my own experience, one of the things that I like to do is play with the poetry first. See how many ways you can say the poetry. See if you can gain a flow from that, right? And then maybe seeing if a beat can inspire that, and see versus like I'm gonna do the beat first and then try to fit all the things that I want to say into this like this beat, right? Or this time constraint, really, right? Seeing if you'll go, okay, like I want to say something about this, and this is how I want to say it. Like I'm gonna say something like I'm gonna rap about the trees because I like the bees, and then I'm like, okay, what do I want to say about the bees and the trees? I want to rap about trees, and I like the bees, and I really want to go and the cat, something like that, where you're like, the emphasis is the beat and the flow first. I mean, the flow first, and then the beat. If that makes sense, yeah. So that you don't have to feel so like constrained to to that beat?
Well, I've been trying to write songs now for like a while, and like it's kind of like an add-on to what Cam said about rhyming, but it doesn't have nothing to do with rhyming. While you're writing lyrics for a song, and you know, I'm always going back and forth. I'm trying not to focus because like today I was playing the tune on the guitar, and I was just trying to think. I was mumbling like a verse or something like that, but at the same time I was like, why am I focusing on trying to do a melody when I need words first? So like, when you're writing a song, how do you kind of stick to writing something that makes sense and that will go with the melody instead of playing a tune on anything and trying to just mumble out?
I'm gonna throw a wrench at you. Why does it have to make sense at first?
Right. No, you're 100% right.
So like, I like to start, and again, I don't consider myself like an experienced songwriter, but when I do write, one of the things I like to do is give myself a word bank, right? Just starting and writing a bunch of nonsense words and saying, what is it? What? Tree, car, love. What? You know, like literally starting in that place so that you know that like you're not constrained to, I gotta have a theme. Right. Just literally like, and one of the other ways, and like if I'm not thinking of it in terms of the melody first or words first, whenever I have a melody that comes to me, everybody here probably has a phone that records some kind of like thing, right? If I'm on the subway and I'm like, ooh, I got this melody that I am dying to like remember or save. I'm going to save it. Even if it's 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 4 seconds, I'm going to record that. And then when I get home, I'm going to loop it in my ear like crazy. And then I just started to groove it and to get into it. And I'm like, oh, I got a little hook, right? Right? So like those moments are some of the best moments I feel like for creative processes because it's small but mighty. Right, so I made this one little thing, and it's like, okay, now I get to go home and like really elaborate on this melody, but without even like having to work on the words. And then once I've gotten a melody from this little 5-second idea, then I can write some like words to it because I have now a full melody that I've listened to. Right, so like, but please, I encourage you those like record those when you can, so that. You know that it's the same when you get it the next time you experience it, right? So it's not, oh, what is that melody I had in my head? It was really catchy and now I can't remember it. Right. Recording it from like when you get it in your brain and then seeing how far it goes. Maybe change it then when when you experience it a little, when you change, you work with it, seeing where it goes from there.
For sure. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Tislam, I want to be mindful of your time. We could probably take a couple more.
Sure.
But yeah, just to.
Sure.
This may be somewhat subjective, but like when writing and like trying to get your point across, how do you avoid sounding like corny,
cliche?
Like just like cliche with your lines? Like how do you? I guess what would be the best way of going about adding your own swag? I guess to what you're trying to say.
I love that.
Like,
So I love that you said. I appreciate that you said that it might be coming from a subjective place, but. To me, there's no such thing, right? Like if there's something that you want to say and you perceive it to be corny, then perhaps that is you, and that's okay to. And then I'm not calling you corny. I promise you, I'm not. But like, perhaps that is the way that you want to say something, and that's perhaps the way that you want to communicate and tell a story, right? And it is up to you. You have complete creative agency and license to say, I want to say it as simplistic as possible. I love you, or I love you until the stars fall. Like you have complete agency to play with that range, right? But like if you want to start from that corner, you start and then just play around and see if you can say, I have this exercise that I do with actors it's called the attitude exercise. So if you're working on a song, I'll tell them, say the song in the form of a monologue, but in your words, right? Because as songwriters and as singers and rappers, we have this poetic thing, this like I want to say things as poetic as possible. But if I was just walking to the store and I was just trying to get a message across to somebody, I wouldn't be like, I absolutely need those beautiful things off the shelf. Give me that thing off the shelf. I would say it like that, right? So it starts from there. It starts from there. And then I can say, give me that thing off the shelf right now, right? I can changing it. But if you don't have the kind of like the skeleton or the structure of the corniness is the structure. It's the skeleton, right? Start from there. And see how many times or how many different ways you can say something, right? Let it just see you like, oh, I wouldn't say it that way. That's not really me. That's not Cam. Ken will probably say it this way, but I'm gonna start with the meat and bones at least, or the bones, and then adding the meat and all the other like layers of that.
Thank
Mm-hmm. These are great questions, y'all.
Yo, this has been
Great
fruitful.
question.
This is fruitful. Are there any other questions? Tislam, where can they find you on your socials? What are you up to these days?
So my website is currently being updated. I've got some content that's coming, so it'll be tislamswifttenor.com. Probably in the next month or so, you'll be able to find my website. I'm also on Facebook, Tislam Swift, if y'all want to connect in that way. Instagram, where I'll be uploading some more content. There's a couple of things. I'm also a home chef and cook, so you'll see me cooking and singing at the same time. Tislam Hakeem, Instagram. And my email address is tislam.swift89 at gmail.com. Please, if y'all have questions, if you have concerns, if you're curious about anything that I said today, if you got projects you're working on, you have questions about how to approach it from a vocal standpoint, from vocalist standpoints, because you're all a vocalist, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to connect.
What was your Insta again?
Insta is Tislam Hakeem, Tislam Hakeem, Hakeem.
EEM.
It's my middle name.
Yo, Tislam Swift, y'all.
Yes,
So generous with your energy.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Thank you.
One of the most brilliant people I know. Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing me.
Oh, please.
I'm seriously honored to have spent like time with y'all. Kevin and I have been talking about it for a while. And like I said, I teach kids K through 12 every day. And whilst I love the babies and I love the kids, it's been refreshing to spend some time up with y'all and see what it is that you do. I certainly hope that this is not the last time. I kind of want to check out y'all's work. I've learned a lot from you all. So send me some stuff. If y'all got recordings, if you got music you're working on, I would love to hear it. Right? So thanks y'all for having me. Seriously.
Thank you for coming.
That's what's up. We're gonna pause here because, and I think we're actually gonna adjourn here. Midterms are due next week, so I'm gonna give you the rest of today's class, which would have been in the lab anyway, to go tighten those up. It's posted on Blackboard. Remember, this is a lead sheet for a song of yours that I will be performing next week for each of you. If you have any questions, please reach out. But it's exactly what I said last week. Now it's posted. All the instructions are on Blackboard. You have the rest of tonight and the week to tighten that up. One more time. And also, what's the piece of the event? Anthony Davis's piece?
Oh, so it's called The Life and Times of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be part of the opera. Excuse me. Singing in the chorus. It's the first time they've ever done an opera like this about Malcolm X. It's a composer by the name of Anthony Davis. They're trying to get more young folks to come see these operas. Please come see opera. I'll let you know about maybe maybe a class trip or something.
We'll definitely make that happen. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Dan, thank you all for your energy and thoughts. It's a couple questions. See you later.